if I can see it on YouTube on my phone, the stream.
Okay, why don't you double check it? It looks
That's
like
what
we
I'm
are
trying to double
live.
check now.
Great.
Yeah, do you want to double check?
At worst, we have at least 18 hours of content, so we just keep going in the morning.
We just keep going.
So we're live, folks. The folks who are listening in on Wikimania, welcome. We are going to take a few minutes so just to make sure we are streaming okay. So you should see us on multiple cameras here at the Nairobi Trademark Hotel.
The Nairobi room, the Nairobi podcast room.
Yeah, it's called the Village Pub.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Which is like
trademark.
a thing that no one who doesn't speak English understands. But yeah,
That's what I told Motorbike. He says, "Oh, everyone knows what Village Pub is." I'm like, I don't think so.
the Village Pub is
We're live.
the
We're
Village
live.
Pub is not a thing.
Okay.
Great. Okay, welcome everyone. We are here at the Trademark Hotel in Nairobi at Wikimania, and we are going to be doing a podcast about all the 20-some Wikimanias that we've had so far, right?
Well, 20 exactly, because we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Wikimania. We've had these conferences all around the world since 2005. I think it's fair to say that we are surprised that we're still going strong 20 years later. And Andrew, this seemed like a good moment to talk to some of the organizers of Wikimania who have run this event and produced this event over the years. So we have many guests in the room. I think just when you start talking, introduce yourself. And so Wikimania 2005 was the first Wikimania held in Frankfurt in Germany. And Delphine, you were one of the organizers.
Yes, Delphine Ménard, Wikimedians since 2004, but really since 2005, Frankfurt, Germany. That Wikimania. What do you want me to tell you about this Wikimania? Right? Apart that I just saw you on camera. We were so much younger.
Well, why don't we start with the most important one, which is this is my first introduction to Delphine, which was this sign.
This room is intended for organizing Wikimania. If you want to work on something else, just go away.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. What about other things? What were some other memorable moments from that Wikimania? Why don't you tell us where it was, actually?
So it was in the youth hostel in Frankfurt am Main, which is a very nice location overlooking kind of the skyline. And youth hostel, right? We're now in very poshy hotels, but at the time we were true to where we come from. And one of the main things about the youth hostel is it didn't have internet. This is 2005, right?
Really?
No, it didn't have internet. And some company offered to give us internet for free and for life to the youth hostel. And the youth hostel refused because, bad vibes and Wi-Fi waves, right? So they refused, which means we had to buy our internet from scratch. Which, yes, thank you, Andrew, for the photo, was quite an adventure. We had people like moving around roofs and putting antennas and access points. And I think Nina has a story about the antennas that we had to buy and things like this.
Yeah, one of the administrators, he didn't have a driving license, and they said we need this specific antenna that is only available at a very tiny store, some 50 kilometers from here. And we hired a car. Here are the keys, because he can't drive. You have to. But I haven't been driving for 3 years or more. I didn't know the area. I didn't know. There was no GPS. So he was sitting next to me, telling me where to go. It was huge traffic, and it was so stressful. But we made it, and we brought this antenna. The internet got running.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the internet really was running, but it was inside. I think it was not that bad. Yeah. So we actually made
walking at least.
I never knew that story. That's great. See, I'm learning something from this as well. So this is the notorious Wi-Fi access point in the hallway, and I'm pretty sure anyone knows anything about Wi-Fi, you do not mount it that low. It's supposed to be much higher. But the tape was so unreliable, this thing would fall down every 15 minutes. So you don't want it falling on someone's head, right? So just mount it low. Nobody's masking tape will hold.
I remember this one area, there was this big post in the middle, and it was round, and to put an access point was impossible. It was the only way to get Wi-Fi all across the place. It was just,
right.
That Wi-Fi thing was quite something.
But it held, right? It was not terrible.
So I was reminded that
Tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm SJ from Boston, and I learned about the whole Wikimania concept after there were a bunch of cities that people were bidding on. And I had forgotten even the first year there was a bid system, and I found the page, and there were 28 cities that were posted, including Baghdad, Bangkok, Cluj-Napoca in Romania. You had Las Vegas, and at least 4 of these cities later had a Wikimania.
So I remember this page, and there was at Baghdad there was someone saying, "Well, this might be a place where the conditions are not optimal." Someone used a strike and say, "This is an active war zone."
That's great. Baghdad was crossed out.
The art of the understatement.
Yeah. Tell us who you are.
My name is Matthias Schindler. I happen to live in Frankfurt at this time. I joined Wikipedia in 2002-3. Had co-founded Wikimedia Germany and happened to be at the right place for enjoying the show from a front row perspective. Yes.
And so, Matthias and Nina, if you want to introduce yourself, and Delphine, you were all 3, and SJ were all 4 organizers of this very first conference. What do you think the impact of that conference was, personally or to the movement?
Well, personally, have a very big impact, but for the movement, I think that it was super interesting. I was very fresh in Wikimedia, but it was really the first time that Wikipedians got together just among themselves in a way. So we had gone to FOSDEM and other conferences, people would be there, but that we were kind of really among each other. That was a very interesting thing, and we had people from really all over the place. I remember battling Chinese authorities to have visas and things like this, so there was a lot of different people who came, right?
Yeah, people who we did not expect to come just showed up. They're like, sure, that sounds like fun. We wrote to Ward and we said, hi, Ward, we like, you maybe you remember us. We like wikis. Ward Cunningham, the inventor of the wiki. And we said, we're planning something in Frankfurt. Would you come? And he said, yeah, I might come. I usually fly business class. Let me know.
I remember this.
Really?
Yeah.
So you said a personal impact. Do any of you want to share?
Well, it so happens that while organizing Wikimania before we started, so there were bids. We chose Frankfurt, but we didn't know exactly the location. No one from the international team had gone there, right? And so at some point, Elian, who was one of the organizers, who was in Germany but not in Frankfurt, said, okay, and I said, okay, we have to go and see this place. And so we went, and the local organizer was Arne Klempert, who happens to be my husband for 20 years.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, wow, the picture.
Power couple.
That's a great photo.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I think we have the first WikiKids.
The first
Yeah.
WikiKids, okay, not the only. That's for
No,
sure.
not the only, but
Yeah.
Well, all right. We can come back to WikiLove in 2005, but let's move on because there were been 20 Wikimedias. SJ, you put in for the second Wikimania.
That's
did
right.
it just seem like a good idea after the first one, or what?
I think someone had put in Boston as one of the 28
Yeah.
the first time around. It was not me, and it was a lot of fun. And so I put in a stub for the second time around, and we invited like the local Boston folks to contribute, and a lot of people started editing the bid, and it got extremely long. And then we figured that we needed to do it, and so we had a group that was of 30 people who were meeting every other week, just to like brainstorm ideas. I think that was the most active, actually, that the Bostonians had ever been.
You've never been that active again.
During constructing the bid. Since they people like run their own editathons, but yeah.
Well, and I will tell the story that SJ, you and I met at that first Wikimania, and when I saw that you had bid for the second, I wrote you and said, oh, I could help. And like 3 months later, I was writing the program and had like almost moved to Boston. So it was good. It was good. We also have. We can come back to this, but we also have in the room Patricio.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, but your first Wikimedia was in the next year. After
Oh,
this.
the next
yeah,
year.
Taipei.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taipei.
So
That
let's
that
talk
was
about
my very
Taipei.
first Wikipedia.
Yeah.
At that time, we founded Wikimedia Argentina,
Oh, yeah.
and I was invited to attend to Wikimedia Taipei. As a matter of fact, this guy here, Andrew, was my roommate.
Hey, in 2007.
Yeah.
In
Roommates.
2007,
I
yeah.
didn't know, and that was your first one.
That was my first one, and when I returned home, we decided to prepare a bid for 2009. I was trying to remember. Actually, you have such memory. I can't remember against who we beat.
I don't
You just
either.
you just opened Meta.
I think that Hong Kong was one of the leaders.
So what was it? You went to Taipei and decided the next year to do it yourself. How was that experience for you then going to do that?
How was Taipei? Other than having the best
No,
roommate.
Taipei was great. Taipei was great. It was a really cool conference. I think it was organized by Wikipedia Taiwan. At that time, better than me, that many things of the Wikimania conference were voluntarily resolved. In fact, I remember the Wi-Fi in Buenos Aires in Wikimania 2009 was provided by a local free software organization. There were volunteers as well. And Wi-Fi at that time was really an issue.
Right.
I remember the only thing that didn't work so well in Taipei was Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah.
It was weird. If you remember the company Phone, Phone, you remember that?
Yeah.
But it was kind of a sloppy, very saturation bomb version of Wi-Fi. So every room had an access point, but they never planned it out. So I think everyone is using the same channel, every 10 feet, which is very strange.
I remember a conversation with the youth hostel in Frankfurt, and they said, "Why are you so insistent on having internet access? You're meeting in person." So, someone looked this person dead in the eye and said, 95% of all administrators and engineers of this website will be in one place. Something is going to be requiring internet access to fix the wiki. We can't afford to be offline while we're meeting here. So this is a condition that can't be negotiated away. And they didn't get the explanation, but they understood that this is something we will never compromise on. So and it has stayed true since then.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so Taiwan was weird because they had those phone access points everywhere.
Yeah.
But it didn't work.
Yeah.
It was very flaky.
I love your picture here. Do you remember the Wikimania schedule you can edit?
Yes.
It was actually a huge board.
Up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I remember that we kept editing it.
Right.
In fact, people kept changing their sessions. So they kept adding sessions or adding new meetings, and they would go up with a marker to the wall and keep changing things and crossing them out.
It's like the first time and last time we ever made a gigantic printout of the schedule.
Yeah, and so you would think you were going to someplace, and then you would check the wall, and it had totally changed where you were going.
There's like Post-its all over it.
So in between Taipei and Buenos Aires, there was actually a conference in Alexandria in Egypt, and you.
Wait, we got to make sure we see the ball, the big ball.
The ball.
I mean,
Also,
It's true that Taipei had
the ball
best
was
swag.
amazing. It was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I still have one piece.
Yeah.
You do still have a piece.
Yes, I do as well.
And I want to say that this was the era of Wikimanias where the bids tried to compete for local sponsorship. So I remember they got full sponsorship for the venue and the parties and the catering.
Right.
And that was already set before the bid was chosen.
And that year, there's like 300 some attendees from the Wiki side and like 100 volunteers from the Taiwan side.
Yes.
So they engaged like a volunteerism organization. So there were so many locals there, helping.
Yeah.
This is something that puzzled and inspired me. In Taipei, we received help from locals who turned out to have never heard about Wikipedia.
Right.
They just heard there is a conference, people from all over the world are attending, some of them won't speak Chinese, so they need help, please come. And they came. This is amazing work outside of Wikipedia.
Yeah, and one of the things that I missed the most from those Wikimanias, which of course were different from these days Wikimanias, which are such a massive event, is the moment in the closing ceremony that when the volunteers were invited to go to the stage. That was like an emotional moment to me that I really miss now.
Yeah, it's really special. That's right. And so believe it or not, this is Ward Cunningham with a iPhone. This is 2007. This is the year it came out.
Yeah.
So you have all these folks mobbing up Ward Cunningham to look at what the iPhone looked like, which is pretty cool.
And that's the first year we had production laptops. Look at that.
And then one laptop per child. That's what you were working with, right?
Did you
That's
fly
true.
business class?
Ward did, yeah, because he's big and he can't fly if he's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So Taipei was magical. The year after Taipei, we were in Egypt. We
Yes.
were in Alexandria. You organized that conference, Delphine, with others. And we were at the library. We were at the Library of Alexandria.
Yes,
that was
which
pretty
was
cool.
good. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
As an anecdote, the library was on the Corniche, which is basically along the sea. And between the library and the sea, there was, I think it's a 8-lane highway. And on the beach,
Right.
well, which wasn't really a beach, but on the beach, there was a cafe. And we kept going back and forth from the library to the cafe, crossing that 8-lane basically autobahn thing, like this really, really huge thing. And I was taught by the Egyptians, never look at the cars. This was very important. If you, because
That
no,
only cars
that's
that-
not that. That's not that. Because the way this works culturally in Egypt, if you look at the cars, the car thinks you've seen them and they will not stop. But if you don't look at them, they think you haven't seen them, so then you can just cross the highway. So that was like a bit really very dangerous.
And that's how many casualties do we have?
That's the difference between Frogger. Where you have to cross the. I think it was 8. It was designed to be 8-lane, but it was technically 10 cars next to each other.
That's true.
It's true. It's true.
So these are some of the photos from that that conference there.
Yeah.
Well, you see that you can see the cafes.
Yeah, you see the cafe.
And we were actually in this building that was part of the library.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, there was the symbolism of the reopening
something
of the Grand Library of
Yeah.
Alexandria.
Yeah.
Asaf, I remember one of the vividest moments I remember is your presentation there and the Egyptian Wikimedians being excited about your presence there. do I misremember?
You do misremember because I wasn't there.
Just Tor, I think.
Tor Kamil.
I'm totally sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
We're both big, but he's bald.
Oh, there.
Some other things that are interesting. We were playing with video at the time with this company called Pastora that was building a video editor for us. No longer exists.
PC.
But one of the most memorable things was this party that we had outside, and there's my sock puppets, by the way.
Yeah, we
I
had
built
sock
sock
puppets
puppets
here.
with children.
Yeah.
First.
I built sock puppets, but the party was outside. There was a band. And then there was additional musical accompaniment because a few of us wrote a song for Wikipedia called I Will Revise.
Yeah.
And then we printed out we wrote it at the conference.
With
We
apologies.
printed out with apologies, we printed out the lyrics and passed them around. And then we all stood around and sang it at the top of our voices. It was pretty good.
It's actually on YouTube. If you look for I Will Revise, you can still find that video on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's
We
on
can see it right
stage,
now.
right
On
there.
that
Copy
stage.
bio.
On that
Yeah.
stage. On that stage.
But that was it's a
Very
rowdy
nice,
party
very
given that
very
no
nice.
alcohol at this point. It was pretty wild.
Yep.
Okay.
Time. Yeah.
So the next year, after
Wait, just
that,
one last thing.
One last
you
thing.
arranged this visit. Remember this visit?
I did, yeah.
So
I did,
Phoebe
with-
is a
with
is a
Ian.
librarian and arranged this visit, and it's hilarious because we thought it'd just be like, oh, they'll tour us around.
Yes, it was
No.
a tour of the library. So I had said it would be really cool as someone, who's a librarian to talk to the librarians and go around and look at this beautiful library we were in. And so they said, sure, we'll give you a tour. And then, unbeknownst to me or anyone else there, they put us on stage to give a talk. And it was myself and Liam and
It looked like it was you, and then you
Yeah.
said, oh, you two can tag along. And then Liam's like, could I tag along? Because
Right,
he was like
right,
this
right,
undergrad
right,
college
right,
student, right?
right.
So we go there, and they show us in this room, and we're like, why are we going to this room? And the whole auditorium is full of their staff. We had no warning what was going on, and they march us up there and say, could you like do a panel for us?
And there had been like a miscommunication. Like I had no idea this was happening. And so we get up there, and I just want to say, at least one person was hungover. But so we're up there, and we just start talking. And may I just say, we start talking about how great libraries and Wikipedia would be together as partners. Totally off the cuff, totally made up.
And that's where Glam Wiki started.
It was one of the big bursts.
Yeah.
Good thing you let him tag along.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Does this one still have their Library of Alexandria cards?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
But we did get to see, if you look there, that's the Internet Archive backup right there. You see that
Right.
stack of servers there.
Yeah.
It's a very modest, tiny little version of it, but so yeah, that's neat. The 2009, Patricio,
Yeah.
you were the organizer of that.
Linking with Alexandria, that was the first time that the next Wikimania was announced in the closing ceremony.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So we had some advance warning.
I have I can't recall perfectly that moment because I was so fucking nervous. At the time, my feeling was that I was a complete newcomer, and all of you were like rock stars or things like that. But it was interesting because in our presentation, we showed a building that next year in Wikimania 2009 was not finished. So we couldn't host Wikimania in the place we pretend to. 18 months before, when we started planning, the city government offered us some brand new multimedia facilities that were about to be inaugurated, and they never did. And we realized that this was going to happen like 2 months before receiving people and starting the conference. So that's, I think, is my most memorable moment, because that was pretty stressful.
Well, I remember the most comfortable couches I ever sat in at Wikimania. So it was a great lounge space.
Yeah.
That lounge was
Just
so
a big
cool.
social space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had, so we didn't mention that Richard Stallman, who's like an icon in open source software, was the speaker at the first Wikimania. Free software. in the first Wikimania. And the first Wikimania was very kind of geeky, computer sciencey people, right? So they're all like, oh my God, it's Richard Stallman. And then Richard Stallman spoke in 2009, and half the crowd was like, who is this guy? why are we listening to this guy? It was a very different crowd. Right?
Yeah, I can remember that perfectly.
Yeah, so I think Asaf, you're here. So in between was Dansk, I'll just say, in Poland. SJ
Asaf could talk about
and I worked on that. You were yeah?
I was
And
there, yeah.
you
Gdansk
were
was
there?
my first
Was that your
Wikimania.
first
Yeah.
That was
Wikimania?
my first Wikimania.
And do you
Until
wanna
then, I
introduce
knew
yourself?
Wikimanias were happening.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
knew people were flying and meeting other Wikimedians, and I just didn't know why that would be interesting.
Okay.
I was just, didn't appeal to me somehow. And in 2010, the only reason I came to Wikimania Gdansk is that a few months before then, the bid for 2011 took place. And in that bid, an Israeli Wikimedian named Dro Lin, sadly departed now, he got it into his head that we, the Israeli community, should host Wikimania 2011, towards which he wrote a bid. Now, I'm of the opinion that anyone smart enough to run a Wikimania is smart enough not to. So the moment he brought it up at the Wikimedia Israel board, of which I was a member, I was like, no, we shouldn't do it. It's a terrible idea. It's a lot of effort. What will we gain from it? And again, I haven't been to one. So I was like, no, that sounds like a terrible headache. And why would we do it? And Dro was like, yeah, okay, you'll come around. And we said, but it's a lot of work. And he said, I'll do all the work. And we were like, no, we don't think it works that way. But he was like, well, it's just a bid. It's a practice bid. That's how he sold us. He was a wily one. So he said, this is just a dry run, just to see what it's like. We're not gonna win. So
Good move.
he wrote this ginormous bid And as you know, the bids like say why the city is such so. And of course, the city was not like Tel Aviv or Jerusalem as you might expect, but Haifa, Paul's hometown, third largest city in Israel, but still not your first destination for most people. And so he was like, "We're going to do it, and we're going to do it in Haifa, and I'm going to write the bid." And he wrote a very impressive bid. But still, we were convinced that this dry run thing is for real because we were running against New York City, Toronto, and I forget the others, but like, you know, and Haifa, you know. So we were like, yeah, okay, it is a dry run. I mean, they're going to pick something else, the powers that be. And so he got us to sort of tag along with his dry run, perfectly safe, no big stakes, you know, into this bid. Long story short, we were selected in a turn of events that I still do not understand. And since I was to produce the bid, he had to also name the team, you know, like we have a program team, we have a scholarships team, and I was co-leading the program team of this dry run fake bid. And that's how I found myself in Wikimania Gdansk, because they began inviting the practice, good practice of inviting the next year's team to see how it's done. That's the only reason I came to Wikimania the first time. Gdansk was amazing. It's a beautiful city. A little less fortunate was that it was the hottest days in Gdansk in like 30 years or centuries or something. It was super, super hot and the place was not AC'd. So in most pictures from Gdansk, you will see people vigorously fanning themselves.
I remember Emma on the stage, remember?
Yeah.
I came with both my kids, and she kind of stole the thunder of Sue, who was talking, by crossing the stage in the middle. This two-year-old
Yeah,
kid.
Susan never share a stage with a monkey or a child.
That's sound advice. I mean,
That's
those
right.
Wiki babies
Sound
were
advice.
cute.
Yeah, and you know, Asaf, there's a great tradition of Wikimedias being some climactic surprise. You know, it's been very surprisingly hot at many of them, including Cambridge, where we also didn't have AC, and Washington, where we.
So now I remember, because at the end of Gdansk Wikimania, you and Daror, I toured you guys through, and I walked through in video 15, 20 minutes with everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure Daror's not going to remember all this stuff, but I'll record the video. And
I remember you running
he
around
did
with
everything that I put on that video. It's like, you got to do this, you got to put more food here, blah, blah,
a
blah.
reception thing and a wife.
It's great. It's
So-
very thorough.
One thing about dance, because we were in this performance hall, we were in like a concert hall, and that's where we had these big talks, and it was
And they
acoustically very good.
and they managed to pull out a professional performance group and recorded a freely licensed concert.
Music concert,
It's not a tradition that was repeated.
and with including a local Polish composer, which is also repeated.
And it was also the Wikimania where the movie Truth and Numbers was first
Yes.
shown.
Oh,
Yes.
That's right.
And
That's right.
the responses were mixed.
Remember this.
A word of context for those of us, those of them who have
Truth and Numbers was I think partly crowdfunded documentary about Wikipedia that had been going on for 7 years. The producers had been attending several conferences in the past. They accompanied Jimmy Wales to various places, and there were great hopes about an actually decent documentary, and it turned out to be a weird attempt to balance things. So I think the producers at some point deviated from their original plan. I don't think the movie ever made it to any distribution service, and by the time it was produced, it was out of date, out of shape. There was an abundance of old white men explaining things.
We've never had that in Wikipedia or
Well,
anything.
the former editor of Britannica, they had Simon Winchester, so some pundits.
So the disappointment was mainly fueled by the large expectation, and I remember some people standing up and saying so they feel violated, hurt, or there are strong verbs being used to describe the emotional turmoil of this movie.
Meanwhile, my favorite memory from that conference was watching the World Cup in the city. Like the World Cup
Oh, yeah.
finals were
Yeah.
on, and so they put it up on a big screen in the town center, and lots of us went and just stood outside and watched the football.
That's
It
right.
was pretty fun. It was a good town to be in. But tell us about Haifa some more. So tell us about the
Yeah.
conference
So
itself.
having
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
roped into a conference we were not supposed to organize,
Classic.
we got stuck holding the ball, and we were like, okay, how do we do this thing? And we asked the foundation people, and we asked Phoebe and James, and they were like, well, you get a lump sum from the foundation, and you round up some local sponsorships, and take it from there, something like that. I mean, this was before the Wikimania handbook, or maybe there was something already. Actually, there was a page, but
but like a short page,
but
like
yeah,
a paragraph.
yeah. But it was basically like, there'll be like an amount of money, but the rest is really pretty much on you. And crucially, there was no staffer from the Wikimedia Foundation. And for people newer to the movement, we should stress that the foundation at the time had about 40 employees, so a very different foundation too. But there was no staffer at the foundation whose job it was to mentor the Wikimania team, to see that it is happening. There would be like monthly calls, like, hey guys, how are you doing? And of course, in the calls, we're like, everything is fine. We're chugging along. The sponsorships are right about to come in any minute now. But yeah, we were pretty overwhelmed. And I personally felt we were disaster was impending. And Dro, the main organizer, was just not just indefatigable, but he could not for a moment entertain the thought of failure or of any kind of embarrassment. He was like, everything's going to be fine. It'll rock. It'll be the best yet. And somehow he just dragged us all along with his unflappable enthusiasm. To give a couple of the things that were special about Haifa, I think, the venue was on the Carmel Mountain, and the accommodations for the scholars were not hotels, but dorms, university dorms.
Yeah.
University dorm rooms with everything that entails, and all that it doesn't in terms of facilities. And they were not even a single dorm building. They were like 3 different dorms across Haifa.
Yeah, in different
Which-
places in the city.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Even not the same institution, like
Yes.
different university dorms. So we had to coordinate with several institutions. We had to coordinate shuttling. It was complex. And it led to moments that even when you are the organizer or one of the organizers, you don't really anticipate you would find yourself doing.
Right.
Like when you have to help a scholar whose luggage was taken by another scholar, and he doesn't know whom, and he just someone took my luggage and from the bus.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but you were looking for your luggage, right? Wasn't there one piece of luggage left over? And he said, yeah, there was, but it wasn't mine, so I didn't take it. And I said, well, maybe the name on that luggage will be a clue. And we went and found that other piece of luggage and tracked down this person. But I kind of spent an hour and a half resolving that situation. I remind you, I was co-programmed.
Wow.
But yeah.
That is, yes.
One thing I want to say about Haifa, it was a terrific conference, but mainly it had an epic party
Yeah.
at the end.
At the
Epic.
beach.
So
Beach
epic.
party.
The
Beach
beach
party
party.
was
The
Yeah.
beach. You have
Yeah.
pictures of the beach. I'm sure.
It was at the Haifa letter. I just.
Well, there were several very good parties, but the closing was.
I think that closing party set the bar for all Wikimanians.
Right.
It really did. I mean.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with it, but
I wanted to say that because I knew Asaf that you were not going to emphasize that.
It's true. It's true.
But we should also note that is the party where Denny created Wikipedia.
oh yeah, that's right. That's where Denny
Speaking
met
of Wiki
Kamara.
love again.
Poor Wiki
Kamara,
love
the
Wikimania.
reason items on Wikidata are queued.
That's the reason for the name of her
is that beach party?
Yeah, they met there at Wikimania Haifa.
Okay.
So yeah, Haifa is responsible for Wikidata in a way.
Yeah.
Great.
And one last thing I'll say is that at that conference we had trips offered to the scholars, just trips in Israel to Jerusalem, to Haifa, to the Galilee, just on the day following the conference, free trips for the scholars. I don't think that was repeated in other conferences.
Well,
Like a day of just
it was a day of travel, and I think that's a real testament to Jar, who
Yeah.
loved to give tours.
yes,
of
and we were
the
like,
places he
that's
loved.
not really part of
Yeah.
the conference, is it? They said, no, that's a bonus. We're just
No,
gonna...
he insisted, and he was so good at it. I was lucky to go on Love Doors tours,
Yeah.
and his joy at giving a tour to Wikimedians, Wikimaniacs was incredible. So, apologies for the noise and the shift, but we just brought in a whole batch of organizers for later Wikimedias. So after Haifa, we had 3 in a row: DC, Hong Kong, and London. Were any of us at? Well, Andrew, you helped run DC. I know that.
Only a tiny.
Only a tiny piece. Only a tiny piece. So.
For the people who are not
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
this
yeah.
scene, Andrew is wearing the.
Oh, that's true. I
Oh,
can't wear this.
you are in fact wearing the DC
Wikimedia
t-shirt.
t-shirt right now.
Well, the thing that stands out to me about that conference is we had the person at the time who was the National Archivist of the United States was our keynote speaker, which was honestly like a little bit of a coup, right? Like we had gone from inventing Glam Wiki to now like the National Archives comes and speaks at our conference.
And,
That
and
was
he
pretty
gave
cool.
and he gave the most like
Yeah.
adoring keynote.
He
of
absolutely was. He
Wikimedia.
absolutely was. Yeah, absolutely. And then Hong Kong. Do you want to talk about that, Andrew? Again.
I will say one more thing
Yes,
before
please,
I have to
please,
leave.
please, yes.
One lesson we learned from Wikimania DC, and by then I was working at the foundation, which I had not been when I was organizing Haifa, is that it's too much to just dump money on the team and say, good luck, folks. See you in a year and a half. And
Right.
so after DC, which was fine, which went fine, but was, let's say, very close to disaster, several inflection points, and might have been had we not intervened quietly.
Right.
It was decided that yes, we the foundation do need to allocate resources, and that's when we hired Ellie,
Right.
who helped Hong Kong and onwards, and I think that was a very wise decision.
Exactly. Yeah, great point. And Ellie was, many people may not know of her, but she was retained for like 6 months, like right before Wikimania, to work that half year, to work with the team.
Because Wikimania had become by then, I think, a big production. A big production. So the next two were, and someone should move up if you want. Please do. The next two were Hong Kong and London. Andrew, you did play a role in Hong Kong, I know. I don't know if anybody else here did. My memory of Hong Kong is you taking me out for noodles that first night. But that was a cool conference at university. And then in London, we were in the Barbican Center. But let's move to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Mexico
sure.
City in 2015. Ivan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ivan Martinez. I'm
Yeah.
a Wikimedia Mexico founder and also organizer of the Wikimedia in Mexico City. Yeah, it was so challenging because the foundation was so scared about other editions of the previous edition of Wikimania. So the basic phrase or the basic conversation between the foundation and me was, we don't have that kind of failures or elemental procedures of the previous Wikimania. So they trusted in us because we offered many certainties, we offer to have a great experience because we are a country who loves to receive the people. We are, I think, great hosts. So I think in my memories are just only cool things at this point.
I think everybody loved the backpack for ages.
It's still here.
We still have
It's still
the
there.
backpack produced for Wikimania Mexico City is great.
Yeah, maybe Wikipedia will disappear, but the backpacks is still there.
Every single year. Florence with her backpack.
Yeah,
We gotta show this amazing backpack. But it's not these. It's a different
It's the liquid.
Get Florence to bring it in.
Yeah. This one. This one?
Yes.
Yes, that's the backpack.
That's a cool backpack. That's a cool backpack.
Yes, and we wanted to give like a durable gift, not only a disposable, not only a.
You succeeded.
Yeah, so it was succeed. We had a great prize from a local provider. So essentially that was the idea, and I think it's still functioning.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that can be frustrated or a way of a challenge that we can achieve. It was to having the Wikimania in a library, which was the original idea, but we can have at the proper time the connectivity, which is a crucial part of the event. But we begin in that point in that year with the Wikimania's Hotels edition, which is not the I don't know what's your opinion, but well, we tried to have a great event, having fun, including that hard condition that we had at the very end. So.
I have to say your welcoming video, like the through that library, was just absolutely incredible. I was so devastated I didn't get a scholarship because I was just like, oh, I want to be there, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I remember the in the closing.
And then you're like, oh, we can't get you there.
No, we tried to push the edition of Wikimania with low connectivity in the library to have like the original plan, but at the end the foundation decided that not.
Well,
but this event at the museum is amazing.
Yeah.
There.
The museum was beautiful, and also the link with the marathon that you organized there as a historical event in Mexico.
And do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yolanda Pensa. I'm the organizer of Wikimania Esinolario with a lot of other people, so quite a large group. And we are the Wikimania edition between Hilton and Sheraton, I think. So quite disappointing for people that were looking for a lovely hotel. In our case, it was in a village, 700 inhabitants, 1,368 participants. So it was a little bit something that you noticed when you're in the village. And the entire village contributed. It was also, I have to admit, and I quote Ivan, doing Wikimania that can have an impact and maybe improve the connectivity of the Public Library of Mexico City, to me, it's a part of the meaning of what we do. So in Esinolario, we actually did it, and thanks to your inspiration. And indeed, it was not with funding from the Wikimedia Foundation, but with further fundraising. We distributed the connectivity, we improved infrastructure, and even after Wikimania, the street that takes to Esinolario became a national street. So quite extraordinary, but also the reputation of this village and the fact that people continue to talk about Wikimania, and Wikimania continue to talk about Esinolario, because still also the friendship, the sweet atmosphere, the fact that everybody was talking to everybody in any language possible. So it was really a strange atmosphere, but also an interesting experiment, I think.
One of my best moments from that was Jimmy Wales doing line dancing in Italy, in like the center of Italy. It's just like hilarious.
Yeah.
It was like
as a
inspired.
Texan, I loved it, and I'm like sending my hometown friends these videos from us.
But because the country night, the curious about it is that in Esinolario it's very fashionable to actually line Texas dances. And it was a beautiful evening because it was in the middle of the square and everybody was there crazy, and you were dancing like a crazy. So also people that are here, I can testify they are really doing it properly. But also so strange, because a contamination, a craziness, and everybody together. And also the evening went on with music from all over the world. And I think that was a very nice moment to see that a collaborative project made with volunteers that they contribute in any capacity, can be by driving a truck, distributing food, or organizing the venue, or editing Wikipedia. I think that's also something that is healthy for our movement. So recognizing that people can contribute in very different capacities.
So you have a video of that was made in the Sino, and so I think one thing that it shows is quite how remote it is. Do you want to talk about like exactly where Sino Lario is?
So it's 12 kilometers of curves from Varenna. So this was the statement. It is actually not a very bad location. It's Lake Como, so maybe somebody already heard about it. It's quite a popular venue. George Clooney loves it. Apparently, it reminds him of Iowa. I don't know, but it's a place that is charming. So it's in the Alps. It is truly a mountain village. It's not a little isolated. It is isolated, and it is the village of origin of my father. And I think also people trusted this crazy event because obviously you try to convince them to do something that they don't know about, and the logistic was complex.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you do it in this? What was your most memorable moment doing it in this small place?
I have to admit that the preparation of it has been extraordinary. It took 2 years to actually set everything. So we needed to invent a system to manage the registration, the anti-terrorism law in Italy. We had to manage the food, so having tickets for restaurants because we didn't have enough space, creating the infrastructure, explaining the menu for halal, anything vegan, whatever, any different dietary necessity. So we really needed to also create system. We even had a meeting to see if eventually we would have the Pope, because in Italy, no, the Pope backup plan was an interesting one. So since in Italy, whenever the Pope goes somewhere, the government of Italy have to assure connectivity. So we thought the only problem is that we will have 40,000 people rather than 1,000, so there was some side effect. But we had also planned to get the Pope to Esinolario so that we would have got, in case of emergency, we would have connectivity.
Yeah, that's a unique circumstance for Wikimedia.
Where did you have this set? This is such a small.
I really didn't want to. I didn't want to have a tensile structure outside, so everything happened in the village. So we used everything. So,
gymnasium, school, theater,
elementary school, and also see every space, even meet up in bars. So it was really put everywhere in the village. And another funny thing is that we insured the entire village. So we went to the insurance company with the list of all the address, the yellow pages, and we said, okay, insure everything. The entire system was a bit new. We had a police crisis unit because obviously it was really necessary also to guarantee safety, and everything went hopefully very well.
I remember with the really interesting weather up there, because you're up in the mountains, it actually hailed one day. And it's actually quite pretty. It's all this little frozen droplets coming out. We all these Wikimedians have never seen hail in their entire life. But is this snow? No, it's hail. What's hail? It was amazing. So.
And it was this last day because we had sunshine for the entire week, and then the apocalyptic rain at the end. And to me, it was really, like, okay, it's done. I'm not interested anymore.
Wash everything off.
Well, so, and then the next year we almost did the opposite. Like you said, like we went to a hotel and it was the biggest ballroom in Montreal that I have ever been in, I think, in my entire life. And so the following year was in Montreal. And
it was the first francophone.
It was the first francophone friendly conference, and I helped run the program for that conference, and which meant that I had to get up on stage in this room that I swear was like so big and so enormous. You couldn't see the end of it. Montreal was a fun conference, but then the year after we went to Cape Town.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Came back to Africa.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ayla Hadeflad. I'm from Cape Town, but I'm a Wikimedian. I started in 2011, and I missed I missed only 2 since then, I think, which was Haifa and Mexico. But so we decided we'd been trying to get Cape Town as a venue for it for quite a while. But I have to say that I'm not the main organizer. I was just like a communications liaison as part of the team. The most work was done by Douglas and other people who were organizing, and the program team, who I think Liam actually headed up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just fantastic having like this parallel universe, which is the wiki world, coming to my hometown, which is kind of like completely bizarre, and having people that you know really well, but in a different context, like coming back. What was really lovely about Cape Town, I mean, apart from that it's even being biased, is pretty spectacular to be there, but it was also in this fairly oldish hotel, the Cape Sun, which is right in the center of town. So you have like all of the kind of like, slightly kind of like, it's not the most zhuzh place in the world. It's not this like fantastically smart, and there's all of these like really interesting interactions that are happening. Just getting from I think there was a Wiki-Edu and there was Wikipedia education and the decolonizing stuff just up the road, and people were encountering like the diversity of Cape Town on the way. So that was quite fantastic. But I remember when that hotel opened, like in the 80s. So it was kind of like an interesting kind of thing. It was such a big thing, but then Cape Town's completely changed since then.
And originally the conference was supposed to be at the university there.
Yeah, I know.
Because of water crisis.
The water crisis.
You had to go to a more reliable place, right? You had to make sure you had water, which is nice.
The university does have water too, just to be clear. But
you had to have guarantees of water, right? And only the 5-star hotels could guarantee water for that drought. Is that right?
Well, I wasn't sure because most of us were pretty kind of like, what's the crisis? We were like, yes, we know that there's a crisis, and there is, but by the time that actually Wikimania had come, it had passed.
Right.
So, and we were, it's in the middle of winter.
Right.
It's definitely going to rain by then. We don't think there's a crisis, but because of the whole, there's a lot of paranoia about being in an African country in the first place.
Right.
And then there was all of this power, and then there was like the added bonus of
That's
the
just the
water
downside.
crisis.
I mean, the downside of Wikimania or any conference plan is you usually nail things down like 2-3 months ahead of time. You have to be kind of
I understand. We
tolerant,
understood
which is-
the kind of the complexity,
it's-
but most of us there were like, this is going to pass. This is not like an ongoing crisis. But nobody in the foundation was prepared to actually listen to us about it. Well, Bobby's also here. He was also involved in the Cape Town. And what was also fantastic about that was that it was the first time that there was a Wikimania event in sub-Saharan Africa, and I think it was just really important for us from the African community to have you all visit us. I mean, apart from me personally hosting, but so.
That's right. What are some of your best memories of Cape Town Wikimania?
Well, my best memories are actually the people. It was my first time to attend a Wikimania, actually.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Bobby?
Oh, all right. So my name is Bobby Shawago from South Africa. I am the president of Wikimedia South Africa chapter, the only chapter in the African continent. And so it was really my first time to attend the Wikimania was in actually Cape Town, 2018 Cape Town. And it was also the first time to actually organize or be part of an organizing team, co-organizing team for such a big conference like the Wikimania in Cape Town. I was part of the regional conference, the Wiki Indaba conference in 2014, but with this one was, it was the first time. But one of the highlights for me there was the people that were coming from, around the world, seeing different communities, and I was pretty new at the time. Not that old. Seeing different people coming from across the world. So that was one of the highlights, and really connecting with colleagues and communities around the world was one of the highlights for me.
One of my best memories from that Cape Town Wikimania was discovered Bobby is an incredible piano player. He had a piano off with Carl.
Yeah.
Wasn't that at the
You two-
aquarium? Didn't you do that? Oh, it was downstairs.
Yeah, it was downstairs.
Yeah, there was a
It
piano.
was actually.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. Like every night we would like sit around the piano and sing.
It was
Yeah.
so old school, tinkle tinkle kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then Bobby could be.
Yeah.
Also, Bobby can play 11s.
Yes. And later on, I
He has his
discovered
fun.
that
Yeah.
some other Wikipedians are musicians, right? Including yourself.
Yeah.
Andrew.
As we
So, yeah.
later learned.
Mm.
And in fact, as we later learned in Stockholm, actually. Did we learn that in Stockholm? Or did we learn that later? But do you want to talk about Stockholm? That was after.
Introduce yourself
Happy
there.
to talk a bit about Stockholm. Yeah, I'm Eric Luth, and I was we call it the conference manager or something for Wikimania in Stockholm. We were, of course, also a large team. It takes a village to organize Wikimania, or big city in the case of Stockholm. I mean, it's interesting because I think we went from one of the southernmost capitals, or
Yeah, it was very fantastic.
in the world, one of the northernmost capitals
I've got my
in the world.
Stockholm
It was
t-shirt on.
Oh, you have the Wikimania t-shirt. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a shift in kind of place, but it was a fantastic experience. We did it at Stockholm University, a bit outside of the city center, but for us it was important to take it to the academic world and try to create bridges between university and academia and the Wikimedia movement. It was a hectic week, but a lot of fun memories.
fantastic.
Oh, so this is the picture of the
In the Nobel Hall.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
This is the city hall, was it?
Yeah,
It
it's
was
the
such
city hall, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was built to commemorate the 400th anniversary of Sweden. Then they built the city hall in the middle of Stockholm. It was really nice that the Stockholm hosted us, officially,
Yeah.
and invited us to be a part of the. So for those who don't know, it's the same venue where they have the Nobel Banquet every year. So all the Nobel laureates come there for a extremely luxurious party. So we could take part in a bit of that.
It was
luxury.
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And those beautiful mosaics inside the hall are just incredible.
So, Eric, what was your experience organizing? What are some of your memories organizing that conference?
It was extremely big, of course, as it's for everyone.
Yeah,
I had only
yeah.
been to the Wikimania in Montreal before, so I had a vague idea what Wikimania was.
Okay.
And tried to kind of, build upon the tradition and build upon what has been done previously, but still also kind of make your own mark and show what you make the legacy that one for Wikimedia history. So it was interesting to think about how can we kind of take the concept and innovate. We thought a lot about volunteer involvement. How can we kind of involve students, and I know that was done, of course, in Hong Kong, I think, as well. Also trying to involve a lot of students in the actual running of the conference. But we had, I think, close to 100 students involved in different aspects. Like at that point, we didn't have as we have nowadays. AV teams that are doing a lot of the documentation. We had volunteers that did their best in every room to try to document things as well as they could. It was also, I mean, one of the advantages and disadvantages of a university is that it can be quite a quirky kind of venue. So in a hotel, maybe it's easy to find your way and everything is kind of reasonably named rooms or whatever. But this was quite spread out. And how do you create flows for attendees to navigate between the different sessions without getting lost in the middle of a dark and scary hallway?
And he organized an amazing lineup the day before the conference started with the Nobel Museum and walking tours and National Museum editathon. So you did a great job of what I call getting the energy out of the people, so that when they're in the conference, they don't feel like, oh, I wish I could be out walking and seeing a museum. It got.
No, it was important for us to try to involve the cultural heritage institutions in the conference as well. So I think we got some maybe 10 to 15 different cultural heritage institutions kind of open up their collections for free, which is an amazing thing, I think. And we have those culture crawls in the days before Wikimania, where Wikimedians could go around to all the different museums and see some maybe things that would not necessarily be shown otherwise, to see some get a unique experience. And I remember one of the places that opened up for Wikimedians was the Swedish Parliament. So we had a member of the Parliament that showed around twice, I think, group of 30 Wikimedians each. And he said afterwards, this member of the parliament, it was the funniest group he has ever like toured given a tour in the parliament. They asked so many questions. And so it wasn't only, it wasn't only a nice experience for the Wikimedians, but also for the institutions.
Right.
Yeah, and you had an innovation in programming that year, if I remember correctly, too. It's .com. We tried like a totally new way to do the program.
Yeah, it was extremely bottom up, and it was like
you with 15 tracks.
No, the individually.
Yeah, I think it was also like 17.
Individually organized.
It was very decentralized.
The spaces thing.
It was Liam Wyatt. I think a lot of people who might listen to this as well know who kind of was the master in chief of this setup.
Yeah.
I think he will never redo it again. It took a lot of work for him, but also for everyone who was involved in the different spaces, like the different kind of subsections of the program. But like every space kind of was responsible for its own development. Liam was some kind of master puppet trying to coordinate. I think it took a lot of. I think that the output was actually the like. It was a lot of quite small sessions, but I think it was very like workshop focused. Like you know.
Yeah, it's good.
And I think that your year was especially interesting food wise. I think it started a tradition of what is the most challenging food you could serve attendees. Yours was the fish. Right?
Yeah.
During the
maybe I
session.
can say like we John Andersson is the executive director of Wikimedia Sweden and the president Matthias. We went to Wikimedia Summit in Berlin like half a year before or whatever, like a few months before Wikimania, and they asked us to present a few words about the plans that we had, and we realized that all of the plans that we were supposed to present were already presented online. So we had nothing new to say to a group of 100 or whatever like prominent leaders within the movement. So we're thinking, what new thing can we present and come up with in 5 minutes? The president Matthias, he happens to be a very strong, passionate defender of this rotten fermented fish that they So yeah, exactly. I think we can see
something else
imagery from the tasting event. So we proposed that after 5 minutes brainstorming, we went up and said we will also have a tasting of this rotten fermented fish. And we didn't really involve the university in this decision. So I remember calling the woman who was responsible from the university side and saying we will also have a rotten fermented stinky fish tasting just outside of the venue. And it was a very long silence. At
least you did it outside the venue.
She said I'll think about that and get back to you. And then she got back with a long checklist of all the things that we had to take, to follow in order to be allowed to serve fermented fish. Like where should we dispose of the trash, and how should we, how far away from all the walls do we need to have to do that?
We could do a whole episode just on food at Wikimania. It was so fascinating. I remember in South Africa, I brought my family there.
Yeah.
My boys love creamy biltong soup. They've never had it before in their lives. They ate it. What is this amazing soup? And it's like beef jerky and cream. And they're like, this is amazing. So they wanted to eat it for a month after we left it. I want creamy biltong soup. I don't even get that outside of South Africa.
I think the food really is the highlight of all of these.
Really,
concepts,
yeah.
because
Okay,
every country has
I have to
different-
say the first Wikimania was not a highlight in food. I want to say that it was a youth hostel. It was Germany, so no, sorry,
What was the unique food there on the first one?
nothing.
I think.
It was this. It
I
was
believe
gummy
it was
bears.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a picture. This is a picture of Florence of Aunt there, who was on the board at the time.
All right.
And so one fun fact about Wikimania is it is often falls over Jimmy Wales' birthday. Not every year, but often it does. And it did that first year. And she made him a present out of a Jello dessert with the letters from soup, like
Alphabet soup.
noodles, noodle soup, and made that sign.
So yeah, but that tells you the kind of Jello we had for typical youth hostel food.
So not only are you saying it was German food, it was bad German food.
No, I'm saying it was youth hostel food, which
Bad youth
in
hostel
German. In German. I'm French, so that I have a.
I do remember the Brotfabrik was quite good.
The what?
The Brotfabrik. there.
Yes, we had that where we're having some
Yeah,
of the.
that was like maybe the only place that was good.
Yeah.
Well,
So I mean, Germany has
yeah.
good food, but in the youth hostel,
Not-
we don't
not in the
have.
youth
So
hostel.
not a highlight, Bobby. Just so you know.
Well, in Stockholm we had the stinky fish, and then Butch, if you want to introduce yourself, we were very excited about going to Asia, which of course has amazing food. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, actually, I'm Butch Bustria.
Yeah.
So I think our edition of Wikimania is the longest preparation that we have.
So we were all set to go to Southeast Asia, to Bangkok in 2020, and then there was a small world event.
Yes.
Tiny. And we discovered that we could not fly 1,000 of our closest friends to a conference center during COVID. And so in 2020, there was no Wikimania. It's very sad.
Yes.
And then in 2021, we said, all right, enough of that. We cannot go one more year without Wikimedia. So we brought it online for the first time. And I don't know if we have our online guest.
We have.
We have.
We have.
Yeah, we are consistently online.
Can we hear you?
Say hello for us.
Hello. Kind of ironic, isn't it? I'm joining from online. I'm not on mute.
I'm not sure if you're on mute or not, but that was the running joke for this online Wikimedia is, of course, none of us could hear each other.
Yes.
And so we were all perpetually on mute. And so while we sort out Nangar's audio, I will just tell you that we made some T-shirts for this and the next online editions of Wikimania
Yes.
that said, "You're
Is it
on
working?
mute."
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Nangar, can you say something so you can hear you?
Yeah, I'm here. Awesome.
Great.
You got me. Lovely.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the planning for the virtual.
The virtual was really quite interesting and rushed. We didn't really start until around about March, April, before we finally got a decision we're going to do something. And then we had to build everything from scratch. So, you know, a whole new scholarship process to support people coming in. We had to find a platform that was actually able to support what we wanted to do. I think it was Remo was eventually where we ended up. Lots of madness going on.
Yeah, and we had the use of this platform called Remo, which actually I don't even know if it's really used these days, but at the time it was really interesting because it mimicked an actual kind of conference hall, right? So we actually had tables and people could walk around.
Tables and rooms.
People were
and
chatting. I
floors.
could see that
Yeah.
Butch was talking to that person. I want to walk up and join their party.
Yes.
And it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it recreated kind of the conference dynamic of being able to float around and talk to different groups there.
Yeah, and
so
we
that
did
was
some-
a pretty neat function that we had. Otherwise, it was pretty rough trying to get everything running because Remo didn't play nice all the time with these video platforms. But Butch, you were part of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was suddenly added, but because well, the
Which is
Remo
always
is somewhat
suddenly added.
you return to your childhood that you're playing a game, but this is actually a conference.
Right.
Yeah, and then there were times that you try to enter a room and then there are only 2 people there, and then you enter a room, there are 70 people there.
Right.
Yeah, and then someone's presenting, and then if you would just need to talk to your friend, he's sitting around there. I will just literally press that right button and then go to that room. So I'm just like playing a game or something.
Yeah. I think we had some pretty good people because we had to cancel 2020 altogether. So it's been 2 years since we had a Wikimania. So I'm glad folks.
Yeah, we had a really good audience. I got to say, it was kind of sad.
Actually, the story was Andrew somewhat is a culprit on this one because I was just sitting in Singapore and I was just in my we're just doing this stuff in the library. And then a random Andrew Lee messaged me, would you like to meet me also in the library? And then we discussed about some things, and then we noticed that, would you host Wikimania? What?
Yeah. So I feel like many people have sort of hosted Wikimania accidentally.
Definitely.
You didn't actually mean to get involved, and I know the online Wikimanias sort of came together like that. But we had 2 online Wikimanias in 21 and 22. And then we finally got to bring it back to ECAP. So Butch and Nangara, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, actually, the journey started in 2019. I was in the closing ceremony, and we're hoping that Wikimania will be coming back. So I was in the closing ceremony also on the 2021. And then also closing ceremony in 2022. I mean, this is, I mean,
here comes long time in the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving hope to the Wikimedians. Yeah, we will be meeting back, and then again and again.
You're stuck in a time loop.
Yes. But good thing that when they announced that it's slowly coming back. So I was so surprised that we will be having it in Singapore. But of course, I was the only one in Singapore.
Right.
There's no user group.
Right.
So what we need to do, actually, when I talked with Andrew, we were just planning to have a regional conference in Bangkok, but it ended up since our hub or regional collaboration at that time is relatively young. We used all the pandemic, the period of the pandemic, on how to prepare on a Wikimania someday. From there, we gathered what could be the program would look like. So hoping that and then we kept it on the vault.
Right.
Yeah, and then when Wikimania come in, okay, Nangara, we're live now. So let's start doing the scholarships.
So Nangara, as Luke said, we've never selected a conference site where there's one Wikimedian there. Well, there's more eventually, but you were really the only one that we had contact with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we changed the model.
Robert was
It should be a regional collaboration. It was too much to put it on one chapter, one person. So tell us a little bit about that dynamic, Nangara, of doing it through ECAP as the entity.
I think it was a really successful dynamic. I think having a lot of different cultures working together to make it happen. ECAP was already a community by itself anyway. The only thing was we weren't all in the same city. So it became a challenge of, visiting Singapore, having a look at venues, those types of things. But most of the discussions were done online anyway. So it was really it was nice to get everyone back together. I think Singapore really brought us into the dual streaming and the in-person connection that we're using now. We brought in Event Yay, thanks to Robert, our Wikimedian of the year.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Could we have done the hybrid if you didn't have that experience doing online?
Yeah, actually, just add to the Singapore story. Since I was alone, I was asking Jacqueline, could you please at least find some Singaporean who may have just edited at least two edits, and then we could
go into the private.
No. If you knew someone that at least casually edits Wikipedia, at least we could brought in him, and then she introduced me to Robert, and Robert's at that time is mostly in the technical side of things. So I told Robert, "Hi, I'm Butch. Just to let you know that Wikimania will be happening in Singapore. Sorry to surprise you."
Well, Singapore was so joyful. It was such an incredible experience, in part because we had not been together for 3 full years at that point. And so there was this element of, Singapore is incredible anyway, and it was a big Wikimania, and lots of people came who had never come or who had only come online, which I thought was really cool. Like your first Wikimania is online and your first one in person. But Singapore was so joyful because we got to see each other again. And I just remember those moments of like, oh my God, I missed you so much. It was really cool.
I think we kind of knew it, but I don't think we knew it that well until it happened. The visa situation to get into Singapore is really good, especially for Africans. I think
Yes.
you may know, Bobby, because I think there are a lot of folks who go from Africa that typically would not be able to go to Europe or
True.
any other
Yes.
places. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
there were a lot of these are advantages.
friendliest, actually. We in South Africa, for an example, we can go to Singapore. We don't even need to apply for a visa.
Yes.
to go there. Yeah.
Actually, when we're screening all these scholars that have been qualified, and then suddenly, this person can go now to Africa from Burkina Faso, from East Timor, from Rwanda, from Togo,
Yeah.
Cameroon.
I think it's the first. I don't remember any.
A lot of
cities
firsts. Yeah.
It
It's one of the
was.
most friendliest, visa friendliest countries that we
Yeah.
have. Unlike maybe Poland,
Yeah. Well, so speaking of Poland,
Before
so
we jump to Poland, I just want to remind everyone that I think like a third of in-person attendees in Singapore for all of them, like for a third of attendees, that Wikimedia was the first, right?
Yes, a lot of firsts.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a lot.
so many first time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right. And so so you mentioned the regional collaboration model between ECAP, between all these countries, and that we thought worked so well. We wanted to try and do it again in 2024. And so, Simon, do you want to introduce yourself and say who you are, what you did? Yeah.
I am Szymon from Movement Communications, but also Polish Wikipedia admin, a member of Polish community since 2010 or something, 2010. And yeah, a former COT member for Wikimania in Katowice, 2024.
So one thing about Wikimania Katowice is it wasn't always Wikimania Katowice. It wasn't. It was in fact changed. Do you want to talk about that process?
I mean, there's
maybe
not
not.
that
Maybe
much,
not.
that much to talk about. Some like legal stuff. Some. There were like some paperwork related blockers, which not allowed us to have didn't allow us to have Wikimania in Krakow. But I think Katowice were also pretty okay.
I like the fact that it felt like the town was just there for us.
Yeah.
And Krakow,
yes.
Krakow is a very busy touristy town.
Yes,
Katowice is not.
In contrast to London, for example, in contrast to Mexico City, in contrast to I don't know, even Singapore for some aspect.
Right.
Katowice is itself a pretty small city, even though it's a capital city for a really densely populated area. So it has all the institutions that are typical for larger cities, but itself it's not a large city.
Right.
Which directly translates into like how far you need to go to meet another Wikimedia.
Exactly, that was like
Yes.
you got them everywhere.
Well, and we had this incredible venue. We had this like huge
Beautiful.
plaza and space to be in, and
That venue actually was better than that one in Prague.
yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
see, it worked out, and it was a CEE conference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
On the COT, there were people from different countries. We also had this concept of extended organizing team. So we first really wanted to have a small group of close friends who would like really efficiently make some basic decisions, and then we wanted to involve more and more people. So yeah, we had great help also from people from different countries, not just Poland.
Yeah, yeah. And then that model we took for this year, for 2025. So currently we're sitting in Nairobi, and again, a regional conference. And so I think most of the organizers are currently running around trying to make the conference happen. But Bobby, do you want to talk about the regional model and what brought us here to Nairobi?
Yeah, so
yeah,
most of the people that actually organizing this conference are from the East African region.
Yeah.
And I'm from South Africa, colleagues.
Yeah.
But I happen to be part of this organizing team simply because I'm wearing a lot of hats within the African continent. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm part of what a committee, the WISCOM committee, which is the Wiki Indaba Steering Committee. So that's why I was actually added there. Yeah, but one of the highlights and headaches really that we've had with this conference is first the venue, to choose the correct venue. And this was because actually a lot of people don't know that Kenya is also a place where a lot of conferences are actually organized, so it was very important for us to choose a venue that is a central and that will enable people to move from the airport to this place. There was also something that was happening on the side, which was protests. They were actually taking place, and we did not know what was going to be the story around that. And at some point, we were even thinking about having an escort. Is it going to be possible for us to actually have some police that are going to be escorting us here? But I think everything actually went well at the end because, be that as may, there has been some other conferences, very, very notable conferences that has taken place in this country. So yeah, the venue, choosing of the venue, choosing of this actual hotel, the food as well. I hear a lot of people are talking about the food that they're enjoying the food. And one of the other things is that this hotel is actually one of the things that that made us choose this hotel. It was because it is integrated with the mall, so you don't have to go out of, it's part of this hotel as well. So yeah.
So yeah, and I think we've kept a lot of things, including the online element. So Nangar is online in the last 3 editions, Singapore, Katowice, and Nairobi. We've had this incredible hybrid conference with attendees from around the world too. So it's been really cool. I think there's a lot of first timers here in Nairobi as well, which is very cool for our second Sub-Saharan African conference. And then Delphine, I can turn to you. We'll wrap up soon, but you want to say something about the conference that hasn't happened yet?
I was trying to get Remy to come, but he's actually rehearsing for tomorrow, for the closing ceremony.
So we're always looking ahead at Wikimania. When you're in one Wikimania, we're planning the next, and maybe even the one after that. And so
so I'm not organizing in Paris anything, but since I'm French, I have connections.
You have an inside track.
Yes, I have an inside track, and they are rehearsing for the closing ceremony tomorrow. But yeah, pretty excited to see Wikimania come to France. I think that Paris is kind of a cool destination, let's put it this way. But I also like the fact that we kind of sometimes go from the destination as a whole, but also the destination is the conference. So I hope that we manage to do that well.
And it will be a Francophone conference, right?
It will be probably a very Francophone conference. I'm going to make sure that they don't make it too Francophone, right? Like we want to be kind of... I really think that it's important to be inclusive. I'm not supposed to say where it is, and I'm not going to say, but it's a pretty cool location.
Yeah, sure.
We are.
I mean, Paris in itself, but
we're prepared to wear earphones most of the time.
We are prepared for translation, and so this has been so good. We should wrap up soon. I will close by relaying this message that came in while we were doing this panel. So S.J. Klein, who was here earlier, was involved in some of the very earliest Wikimanias and sent an email to Ward Cunningham, who is the inventor of the wiki, and was our keynote speaker at several editions. So Ward came to several of the earliest Wikimanias and spoke, and he's a friend of the movement and a friend of ours. And so SJ let him know that we were giving a retrospective of the last 20 years of Wikimania, and Ward writes, "Please forward my congratulations and encouragement to all the speakers on that panel and to all the attendees of Wikimania," and gives an aside that SJ met me and walked me to my first event at Wikimania. So there we are, folks.
20 years, the food has improved vastly, the internet not so much.
20 years of struggling with the internet and the venue and having some magical conferences. So thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks to the audience.
Thank you online.
Only Wikimedians can listen to it.
See you in Paris next year.
20 years of conference planning.
À Paris l'année prochaine.
Yes.
Get ready.
All right. How do we...
Thanks, everyone. You can cut it
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Great.
More Duolingo.
We have a long history of venues saying, it'll be fine. You know, Wi-Fi. How are
I mean,
we hitting the Wi-Fi?
it's fascinating to see how Wi-Fi for conferences still hasn't